Saturday game day. I was almost having a heart attack a few minutes ago. The Facebook platform changed the way that you get into live. And as a result, I could not find the little switch to go to live. So I feel like I might be late or exactly on time. So, oh, hey, Sue Plattner, I got to take a deep breath because my little heart was going pitter-patter, thinking that I was not going to be able to make it today, but I finally figured it out. Facebook changed the way that they do everything. Hey, Sherry Barassa, thanks again for being here. And Cynthia Berman, all right. So, hey, speaking of Cynthia Berman, she's the accidental farmer, and in a couple of weeks, I'm going down to visit her and check out her Airbnb, which is her barn-aminium, where she shifted her barn into a condominium. And she's a gorgeous decorator, and she decorated this beautiful barn, and you can rent it for, can't think of the word, give me the word, Cynthia, for, I don't know, corporate, I can't think of the word, she'll type it in here in just a minute. And or just for yourself and your loved one. And she's got a gorgeous kitchen in there. And so she and I are going to go out into her beautiful garden. We're going to show you her avocado trees, which was the accident of her life. And then we're going to go in and we're going to cook in her, hey, Randy Marvin, welcome back. And yeah, Airbnb, I know that word. It's, hey, Heather, Heather's here too. Okay, everybody's coming in, everybody's found us. Corporate retreat. The word I was looking for was a retreat, for a corporate retreat of some kind. She's got just a beautiful, beautiful acreage and a fabulous kitchen, and she and I are going to grab things out of her beautiful garden, and we are going to cook for you guys. So stand by for that, coming up in just the next couple of weeks. So, game day is upon us. Yesterday you watched me make not my famous, but the famous Town Line barbecue sauce, and it is part of the Town Line barbecue restaurant in somewhere near the Hamptons or in East Hampton itself. And that recipe was an Ina Garden recipe. Hey, Sandy Hammergren and Tawny Bennett. Nice to see you guys. Tawny White, Tawny Bennett. I'll get used to it at some point here. And the recipe was great. I did not have any chili powder, so I actually stopped at my daughter's to see my grandchildren, and she had fabulous chili powder, so I grabbed a half a cup of that and brought it home. And I did find my chipotles, and I put a tablespoon and a half of chipotles in that barbecue sauce. And then let's remember that the barbecue sauce said 3 cups water, and that is in the narrative. And I very frequently, this is a pro tip, when you're reading a recipe, all the ingredients are listed, but the water, any water additive is never listed in the ingredients. It's always in the narrative. And if you don't read down to the last line of the narrative, of the directions, you will miss, and I almost missed it yesterday, add 3 cups water. And it made all the difference in the world, obviously, because I was looking at it thinking this doesn't look right. So I started reading through it again. I was like, ugh. And I did that with a cake recipe. I remade that cake 3 times. I could not figure out what was going wrong with it. And come to find out, add a cup and a half of water. It's so frustrating. So I have learned, where you least expect it, it says add water. But again, it's never in the ingredients, but it is always in the directions and the narrative, and you can get messed up. And when I write recipes, I always put an ingredient as 3.5 cups of water. Believe me, I don't want anybody to have to suffer through that. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. You know, Merriam-Webster, does she tell us how to write recipes? I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to write recipes, but when I write them, water is in the ingredients, not in the directions. So, okay, that was I got all hyped up. Hi, Ryan McNamara. I got all hyped up because I was telling everybody that I went to hit the live button on Facebook and it was not there. There was no live button. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But they have revamped the platform of Facebook today, not yesterday, but today. And finally, my husband helped me find the live button. So I love him for that. Love you for that, Tom. So, okay, we are making kale chips for the big game day. Very easy. You may have seen me cutting the kale, the Tuscan kale, right out of Nanny Bubby's garden. So look at these, aren't they beautiful? And they're like, got like a feathery softness to them. Here we go. So let's tip the camera and let's get started. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take this rib and we are going to cut it out. So you can see it gets thinner and thinner the higher up you go. And we don't want to cut too high up, because if we cut too high up, then we've got a piece of kale that's kind of slit. So let's lay this down. Let me show you, let's see, make sure that you've got a good view there. And we're just going to start like in the lower third and just cut that rib right out. And so what you have is a piece of the kale like this. And we are gonna, first we're going to put that upside down on the sheet, if you can see that. There we go. There we go. And then we're gonna do another one. You know, the camera just is not wide enough today. Let me just see if I can scoot a little closer to this. And we're going to turn it over and get this big rib out. So by Friday, when you see me on Friday, I am going to be cooking away all kinds of fabulous things for big game day. I like to start in advance. There we go, upside down. The reason I'm putting them upside down is so that I can spray them and salt them on the back and then turn them over and spray them and salt them there. So Friday I'm gonna be cooking. I like to do a lot of prep work ahead. I'll be setting tables. I'll be getting everything organized, getting the house organized. You know, it's really not easy to entertain, but it's fun. And it becomes easier if you just have prep and a routine about the way that you do things. So that's what I hope to show you when I do all of this. So we're almost done with the kale. Isn't this great? It's fabulous. And talk about a healthy snack before you dig into many other things that are unhealthy. You know, Nanny Bubby and her husband and her son are doing a 4-day juice fast right now, which we do about 4 days a month, because I believe that there's a time to feast and a time to fast. And knowing that a nice, beautiful feast is coming, we like to clean ourselves up. We like to feel energized. And a juice fast is a great way to just really energize your system, to feel clean, and to prepare yourself to bring into your body some foods that you don't normally eat, which I believe there's a time to feast and a time to fast, as I said. And during regular days, we eat very healthy, clean, and simple, but during celebrations or parties, we indulge. And why not? Why not? How many of you share a same philosophy? So let's see who else is here. Ryan is here. Teresa Anderson, there you are, Teresa. How are you? So good to see you. Okay, 2 more little pieces of kale. We're gonna pop them in. And these are all turned upside down, because the first thing we're gonna do is we are gonna salt. We're gonna spray with a bottle of olive oil spray, which I love. And the reason, so you could either paint it on with a pastry brush, would be a great one. Hey, Brenda Mills, where have you been? Nice to see you back. And then here's just some olive oil. It just seems to me that it goes on so much evenly when you have something like this. If you can toss it all, then you can spread it out. But for this type of thing, I spray. So just a little spray on the back side here. And then we're gonna take kosher salt and we're going to just sprinkle it on the back side. Again, I always say this, but the higher up you are, the more control you have of the salt and where it lands. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. Now we're gonna take these and we're going to turn them over, all of them. And we are going to spray them one more time with a little bit of olive oil and some salt, and then we're gonna stick them in the oven for 10 minutes. And while they're in the oven for 10 minutes, we can have a great chat and some interaction. And I'll tell you about tomorrow's show coming up, because on Thursdays, I'm really committed to doing fabulous interviews for all of you to enjoy. And so I want to tell you about that. Okay, here's a great spray. And again, raise this up as high as you can. And there we go. Okay, so again, we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. You're going to excuse me real quickly while I pop this in the oven, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. And so I know you can still hear me. The oven is opening. There we go into the oven, and I'm going to grab the timer. I love this timer. And let's start the timer, 10 minutes, 350 degrees. Okay, when it comes out, we're going, in case you're jumping off real fast, when it comes out, we're gonna take our fresh ground Parmesan cheese. I actually fresh ground it about 4 or 5 days ago, and they still have it left over. We're gonna take this and sprinkle on top, back into the oven for 5 minutes, and then it's gonna be fabulous. We're gonna put them aside, and they will keep in a plastic bag or covered until game day. So there you go. All right, so let me grab these tomatoes. These are Nanny Bubby's tomatoes that came out of my garden before the snow, which is crazy that last week at this time it was snowing, and this week it's 65 degrees. But that's what living in the desert is all about. So let me grab these tomatoes. So these tomatoes right here were what I picked last week on Sunday. So it's been about 10, 12 days. These were green. Let me show you what they look like, because the other ones are still green. So I keep taking the red ones out. So if you remember, I had a huge basket full, I mean to the top, of almost all green tomatoes. There were a few red ones, but look how beautifully red these are now. And so I'm gonna take these red ones that have turned nice and red out of the basket and just separate them. I think there's a few that could stay in here for a little bit longer. Okay, here we go. There you go. All right, we'll put these back, let them continue. There's some yellow gold ones starting to turn orange and red, and we'll let those keep going. And what we're gonna do with these is we are gonna roast them at 200 degrees for about 4 hours. And let me show you how I'm gonna do it. We are going to always, one thing I didn't say about the kale chips and the, still exhausted from worrying how I was gonna go live, the baking sheet pan, sorry. Okay, the sheet pan. Thank you. Hey Denise, how are you? Nice to have you here. So happy you're joining us. Remember, sheet pans are made out of aluminum, so you never want your food to touch the aluminum. It's toxic, and there's enough toxicity in our environment, on our planet. We don't need to be ingesting it. Any way that we can avoid it is always best, I say. So not only have I lined this aluminum sheet pan with silicone, but then I have covered the silicone with parchment, because silicone absorbs sometimes flavors, or sometimes it absorbs what you're washing it with, and I can't get that taste out. So that's what I do. So we're gonna take off the stems of these tomatoes that are left. I've given these a quick rinse some days ago. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna roast these on a low fire for about 3 hours at about 200 degrees. And let's get them on there. We're going to cover these in olive oil and a little bit of salt and pepper. That is it. Get all the stems off. So tell me, let's have a vote. Everybody for Kansas City in the Super Bowl on Sunday, give me a 1 so I can look back in the chat and see who you are. And everybody who is for Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, give me a 2. So let's see, all of you who are watching, let's vote. Let me see who's for who. So my sister sent, Tawny Bennett is a 1 for Kansas City. Who's a 2? Anybody? So my sister showed me something that shows that Tom Brady's favorite food is guacamole. Okay, Sue Plattner is for Kansas City. Okay, this is, oh, Heather is for Tom Brady. All right, this feels dusty. Let me rinse this. Okay, Cindy Burt is watching. Cindy, what are you? Are you a 1 or a 2? 1 for Kansas City or 2 for Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. Sherry is 2 for Tampa Bay. Okay, looks like we're evenly split. Sandy's a 1. Wow, there's a lot of, center of the earth girls for Kansas City. I think, well, I really am split, I have to tell you, because I think Patrick Mahomes is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. I think he's so cute. And of course, cute is what I like. I don't even know what football is. But hey, Kim, are you 1 for Kansas City or 2 for Tom Brady? Oh, my sister is for both too. But I really admire the perseverance and everything that Tom Brady has. That he was let go from New England and he found a new home, and his perseverance that got him to this point. I really have to say that I really am rooting for him, and I think I am leaning towards a Tom Brady one. A Tom Brady win. And I'll tell you why. Let me grab the pepper and I'll tell you why. I really admire strength of character and strength and perseverance. And I think all of us who have been through life, who are in the middle of life, all are here because we survived needing our own strength and perseverance to get us through what life offered all of us. And it's all different. But all of us have had our challenges, all of us have had our hills, and we've had our valleys, and we're still here and kicking away and having a good time. And really, this is what our show and our interview tomorrow is going to be. So last week, Thursday, we interviewed Nancy Holla, who is a brand manager, and she specifically works with middle-of-life women and engages them to reinvent themselves when they leave their old careers and they become suddenly empty nesters. They have time to reinvent what their heart has always desired through the first half of their lives. And so tomorrow, I'm going to be interviewing Jo Ingram, who lives in London, believe it or not, and she's a personal coach, and she is specifically coaching women in the middle of life to look inward and look at what they've always wanted to do, and to find a way to bring that to the marketplace and find a way to get and create a helpful revenue stream throughout the rest of their lives, and to literally pivot towards what it is they now want to do. A lot of the stress of growing a young family is over. We all have freedoms now that we never had. And you know what? Not only are we all trying to pivot in the middle of life, but we are pivoting in the middle of COVID. And it is the craziest thing. And finding each other through Zoom. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Sandy Hammergren, long time. Yep, long time, that's for sure. I love that you're all connecting here. It's such a great community. I love that. So yeah, we're pivoting in the middle of life. We're pivoting in the middle of COVID, and there's so much to talk to. Jo, I had referenced several weeks ago about the Messy Bun Boardroom, which she started, and so she'll be in her messy bun tomorrow, and I think I will too, in honor of her. And I really invite you all to join in and listen to what she has to say. If nothing else, listen in so you can hear that melodic, beautiful British accent that she has. It's 11 p.m. back where she's going to be, and it's really amazing that she was willing to do the interview. So let's see what we're going to do with these tomatoes right off the vine. Ready? So easy. We're going to spray a little olive oil. That's it on the whole tomatoes. We're going to take a little bit of, well, let me toss them because I want to make sure all of these are rolled in the olive oil. We're going to separate them. The really nice thing about there being so few to roast right now is that the farther apart that they are, they won't steam. They will, in fact, roast. And I'm going to, when they're done, I will put them in olive oil in a jar and keep them. And in fact, I'm hoping that the other ones get red enough so that I can go ahead and roast those before game day, because this would make a great appetizer. A little more salt. Okay, we're going to toss them around in that as soon as I get the pepper. Okay, remember, if you're just tuning in, to put these on top of parchment paper or silicone or both, as I do, because you do not want your food to touch aluminum. So let's roast these around, and that is that for this. So I'm going to put these into the oven. Let me wash my hands. And I'll pull out the others and pull these in. I'm going to turn down the oven to 200 degrees. Well, actually, after I roast the Parmesan, I take that back, Can I take that back? Okay, I'm gonna take that back. So let me take this right now and put it over by the oven, pull out the Parmesan kale chips. Oh, there's the buzzer, just in time. Well, that was perfect timing. Okay, so these are nice and crisp. Some of them have gotten very crisp, as you can see. There we go. How healthy are these? Aren't these fantastic? And they're already really, I mean, they're just have a wonderful crispness to them. All these wonderful vitamins from the dark green is just fantastic. We're going to take the Parmesan cheese right here. Freshly grated Parmesan. Always grate your Parmesan in your food processor or your Vitamix. Do not buy grated Parmesan that's already grated because there's a filler in there that keeps it from clumping, and it's actually not good for you. Who knew? I would like to know who the person was that sold the idea that the American public would not buy Parmesan cheese if it had clumped. Because all you have to do is take a little knife or a fork and go like that, and it's not clumped anymore. But all grated Parmesan cheese, even the Parmesan cheese at Whole Foods, which you would expect, at least they might not have a filler for non-clumping in it, but they do. I've read the backs of everything. So you always want to grade your own, and it's so easy. I've showed you so many times how to do it. Just cut it in small cubes, you know, not even small, medium-sized cubes. Throw it in your food processor and let it go until the sound changes. That way you know it's all been done. And oh, Tom says, please make more this time. They go quickly. They do. They go so quick, like 2 people in the door, 3 people in the door, and they're going to be gone. But our Super Bowl party this year is very, very small because we are in the middle of COVID. So, okay, back in the oven for 5 minutes. And most of our party for the first time is going to be out in our backyard. So today they put the televisions up, and in about 5 minutes my husband, my son, and I are going to go outside and try to figure out exactly how to get those TVs working and download the correct app so we can all watch the game. So we'll let that go for about 5 minutes. And again, I just want to remind you about the interview tomorrow with Joe joining us at 11 p.m. from England, London, where they're on such tight lockdown they can't even go out of their houses. They can go for a walk in the grocery store, and that is it. Everything is closed. The restaurants, the theaters, everything is completely closed. So it's been a tough one for them. And tomorrow we do the interview. Friday we start really cooking away for the big game day. So any questions? I always love it when you guys ask questions. Did anybody count? Heather, could you count and see how many, count back really quick. I don't know, let's see. How many ones? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones and about 5 twos. So it is Kansas City by 1 with this group. And I think I leaned over to be a 2 at the end of the day. I love the perseverance. I love that Tom Brady, at 43 years old, which is not really old, but it is for football, is getting ready to win a Super Bowl ring, and that he brought that team, a team that I don't think was even in the game last year. I don't know, I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, somebody that follows football. And he's bringing them back. But so our menu is seafood paella for Tampa Bay. We've got a barbecue tri-tip for Kansas City. We've got salads. I'll just go over the menu with all of you on Friday. I'll tell you what I'm making, and we can make it together. I'll post recipes. The recipe for the kale chips is already on Instagram, and it posted over, I hope, to Nanny, Bubby when they change the platform. I hope that still is happening. And let me grab these kale chips right now, and let's take a look at them. It's been about 5 minutes. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, can you believe this? Isn't that gorgeous? It's beautiful. It smells so good, the Parmesan, and then the kale has its own really sweet aroma. It's just fantastic. Well, that's it. Here's an appetizer that will keep till Sunday. You can make it anytime. Again, it's Tuscan kale. It's not the curly kale. This is Tuscan kale because it's got long, flat leaves, not curly. So that's it. All right, everybody. Happy game day. I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, for a great interview with Jo Ingram. She comes from the Messy Bun Boardroom. She's got a wonderful story to tell, and she's so inspirational to anybody who is looking to pivot in the middle of COVID and in the middle of life. That's it for Nanny Bubby. So all together on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's go out and spread love like butter. Till tomorrow. Bye, everybody.